You didn't tell anyone who the teams were. I don't like saying this. Let me just preface it with this. I hate saying this because I hate Louisville. They have had the better football. They've had the more successful football program of the last 20 years than Tennessee.
Oh.
They have. And I went through all of the years. 2005 is when Louisville enters the Big East, so I went from 2005 to 2024. And if you look, Tennessee, for all of the hype around this program that I have heard my entire life, they haven't done anything. Not since 98.
So they went to a SEC championship game, like we mentioned,
2007.
with Eric Ainge.
Yes.
And
I love how much Peake hates Tennessee.
Oh, well, he had to work down there for a year.
I know. I think
that's what
fascinating.
happened.
I love how a lot of weird Wednesdays come back to Tennessee in a capacity or another.
They live rent-free in my head, or whatever the Tennessee fans like to say. But it is, I mean, I worked there. I lived there.
Sure.
I got to see, and I interacted with their fans on a daily basis, like I do with Kentucky fans now. And by doing so, I used to think, okay, Tennessee has a lot of history, but they're not. Like, what are they? I get to Knoxville, and they think they're Alabama. They think that they're Georgia and Alabama. They think, like, their turn's coming. And maybe it is. Like, maybe Heupel will figure it out. But I'm saying, like, Heupel's got to figure it out pretty soon. He's got to win something of significance, win a playoff game. Go because, like, yeah, they went to the playoffs, and what happened?
So since 2005, Kentucky's had 3 football coaches. Tennessee has had 6.
Seven. Oh, since 2007?
2005.
Fulmer.
Fulmer.
I think they've had 7, if you count interims.
Okay. But Fulmer, Dooley, Pruitt, Champion of Life, Butch Jones, Lane Kiffin,
yeah.
and then Josh Heupel. A lot of turnover.
I do want to say, Peake, and you'll probably disagree.
That's okay.
But Tennessee's 2024 season would be Louisville's second-best season ever.
Yeah, probably. But here's, like, you look. If you go back to where
I don't think so, because they didn't go to a New Year's Bowl.
What's that?
I don't think they were in a New Year's Six Bowl, were they?
You talking about Tennessee?
In 2004? Did they go to a New Year's Six
I'm
Bowl?
saying Tennessee's last
2024
year last
making the
year
playoffs.
would be Louisville's second-best season ever.
Louisville went 11-2 in 2012 and won the Sugar Bowl. They went 12-1 in 2006 and won the Orange Bowl.
Yeah.
So there's a couple seasons right there that I think that is better. When you say winning the Orange Bowl, going 12-1, and then going 11-2, winning the Sugar Bowl.
See, but the biggest crux of it all, though, that comes back to it is, while from a wins and loss standpoint, it is a lot easier to do this in the conference that Louisville's been in.
100%.
Tennessee has to play Alabama every year.
Yes.
They're a rival. They're going to play Georgia. They're going to play.
But let's talk about
Kentucky.
who's been in the East. All right, the teams they're playing South Carolina, Missouri, Vanderbilt. It's good.
Still better than Louisville's conference
I
competition.
100% agree. My point is that I don't ever hear Louisville fans telling me that Louisville is a top 20, top 15 football program. They never say that. If they start saying it, I'll start calling them crazy too. But Tennessee fans,
this is all valid.
They believe.
I'm following along.
They believe they are a top 15, top 20 program of all time. They are absolutely not. Like, they are not. They are not in the top 30.
General Nealon ain't walking through that door.
They are South Carolina. If you go for the last 20 years, so if you look at here's everyone who's on campus at Knoxville right now, they have grown up with Tennessee being worse than Missouri, than South Carolina. They're Arkansas with a bigger stadium.
They do have a big stadium. That is true.
102-455 or whatever it is.
It's very crowded.
How many titles do they claim?
6, I think. And they're all, if you just, I want to do that.
But only one is probably legitimate in your eyes.
1998. Because here's the thing. I even went through the 98 schedule, and I was like, how many lucky breaks can one team get to win a national title? But here's what I'm going to say. I'll never discredit a national title team, because then what's the point?
Yeah,
if I can just say, oh, y'all got lucky.
Well, and college football is a weird sport like that where you need the ball to bounce your way sometimes.
The Arkansas player is trying to run up the clock. He slips and falls and fumbles the football, and Tennessee wins the game.
Was it Dusty Dvorak?
Is that who it was?
It's a guy who was in media for a while, the Arkansas quarterback. But, yeah, he fell, fumbled it, and Tennessee got a second chance.
Tell me if this sounds like a big-time football program. From 2008 through 2014, they did not get more than 7 wins. They went 15 straight seasons without double-digit wins. They have had double-digit wins only 3 times in that stretch we're talking about.
Yeah, and I think until last year, Kentucky had as many 10-win seasons.
Mark Stoops has 2.
As Tennessee did.
Yes.
during that stretch.
Their top 3 bowl victories are the Orange Bowl, the Citrus Bowl, and the Gator Bowl. Louisville's are the Sugar Bowl, Orange Bowl, and the Pop-Tarts Bowl. It wasn't the Pop-Tarts Bowl at the time. But here's what I'm saying. They think, and this was true in 2014 when I was there, and it's true even now. They think that they're Alabama and Georgia. They're just down right now. And I would argue that, I mean, if you weren't really old enough to remember 98, how do you think of Tennessee? You don't think of them as being down. They're a 500 program that is trending up a little bit recently.
Well, and to your point, I'm fine. Like, fans can be a little bit delusional at times, TJ. But I think in college football, more so than in basketball, there is a clear stratosphere where you have your Oklahomas, Texases, and even Oklahoma's getting a little weird, but like Oklahoma, Texas, Alabama. Kirby Smart has put Georgia at that level. But I think even Clemson's kind of like UConn in that respect where they're new money, but they're not even like still an old school powerhouse. I guess they had one title maybe in the 80s, but like the top of college football is a very, very exclusive company, and there's a lot more teams that are in that second tier of like, well, they've got like a title, and they're usually pretty good, but like there's a lot of down years there too. And that's where they're sort of in the mix with, which I feel like Tennessee and Nebraska are similar in so many ways.
It's a great comparison.
Because a lot fell off since the 90s.
Yep.
But I think that – and they still sell out like this huge stadium on a very regular basis.
Mm-hmm.
But what I'm fascinated about is
There's certainly some IU basketball comparisons too.
Oh, definitely,
Yes.
definitely.
Yeah.
What I'm fascinated about, too, with Heupel is just coming into this year, they got to the playoff. Like, that was the woulda, coulda, shoulda whenever Hendon Hooker got hurt.
Uh-huh.
We would have been in there, blah, 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 blah. Hey-oh. We are at Powder Cake Fireworks, after all.
What if I just would have screamed and it would have ended my radio career based on like, the screech that I would have made? Like I would have squealed or something like that.
Do you know that's the sound you make under distress?
That could have been pretty terrifying.
But I'm fascinated, though, now that they had this big year last year with a relatively light schedule.
Yes.
One would think that you would want to, okay, we made the playoff, now let's knock down another door. Let's win the whole damn thing.
Uh-huh.
But they lost the school's all-time leading rusher.
Okay.
They lost a couple guys off their defensive line. And then old Nico decides to leave in spring ball.
And so that brings
where these delusional idiots, where are their brains at? I mean, clearly they're up their own rear ends, obviously. But, like, from a reasonable standpoint, I don't know. Like, they're going to be disappointed if they go back to the playoff.
And I don't think they're going to.
No.
So
no.
You're going to have,
You know what I think they're going to do?
Back.
I think they're going to lose to Kentucky this year.
Really?
I'm talking myself into it because
all this early?
I'm already there. I told myself I would never do it again, but Kentucky's going to beat Tennessee because here's the thing. How does Mark Stoops win?
Right, hold on. You're being recorded. You could have a rival fan tweet this at you for the next 6 years.
Oh, I'm
be careful.
Oh yeah,
this could be used against you.
Oh, I'm going to say a hot take on radio.
In the sports radio business.
What I'm saying is that Kentucky wins by dragging teams down in the mud, by getting into rock fights, by getting Georgia to run the ball, let's play this way.
Yeah.
Who are the teams that are most likely to get in a rock fight on Kentucky's schedule? Tennessee's number one. They have to win games this year by running the football and playing defense. That game's at home. It's going to be a charged atmosphere. Hopefully, God willing, that the wheels haven't completely fallen off. And, I mean, is Joey Aguilar? Like, I'll take Zach Calzada over Joey Aguilar.
And let's also not forget, Kentucky was winning at halftime in Knoxville last year and should have probably won that game against the Tennessee playoff team
really
and
chance.
UK's worst team in a decade.
And then their quarterback gets hurt. You put in the backup. They tell him, whatever you do, don't throw the ball. What does he do? He throws a pick six.
When you told that story, it's almost worth retelling. When you told that story 2 or 3 weeks ago, I was just like, oh, that's such
like,
UK
seriously, they said
football.
it's a run-pass option. Whatever you do, run the ball. It's 3rd and 5. We'll get it to 4th and 2. We'll go for it.
Yeah, or kick a field goal.
Yeah, and Kentucky does not have a lot of success winning in the margins against Tennessee. But you know when Mark Stoops is at his best? When his back's against the wall, when nobody expects anything.
Yes.
And you know what would get Big Blue Nation back better than anything? A win over Tennessee.
Yep.
And you know what's going to happen? Kentucky will beat them while Tennessee's a top 25 team, and then they'll end up 7-5 and like, oh, we weren't even one of our better teams anyway.
Well, fire Heupel.
You couldn't even beat us when we were good, and that's another fun stat, Peake. Why don't you share that one?
Yeah, every time Kentucky beats Tennessee, we don't get to face their coach again.
He gets fired after that. Yeah,
Love that.
Derek Dooley in his orange pants.
That's worth a torpedo cracker snap.
Well, let me ask you this. All right, so as I was comparing these teams, I
oh,
thought,
God, I'm glad they didn't give this to you in the first half of the show. Every trivia question answer would have been pa, 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 pa.
Who is Tennessee's
Torpedo
stars
cracker snap.
since 2006, if we're going from that timeline, 2005, when Louisville entered the Big East? Because, again, and I hate this, I find myself kind of hyping up Louisville a little bit, but they've had Teddy Bridgewater, they've obviously had a Heisman winner, and Lamar Jackson. Wide receivers. Who is Tennessee's star? Alvin Kamara.
The team with Alvin Kamara, Jalen Hurd.
That safety who was a
good.
Heisman candidate was really good.
Eric Berry.
Eric Berry. Did he end up
Berry.
being a Heisman candidate?
Berry? No, he wasn't a finalist.
They had a big push for it, but he was awesome. That dude was awesome. Hated that.
Dylan Sampson was really good last year.
Jalen Hyatt.
Yeah. Hendon Hooker.
Okay.
Granted,
Joshua Dobbs.
Yeah, Astro Dobbs.
Yeah.
No, I'm kidding.
What do they call it?
He has got some cult-like status. That's when I was covering the team. So.
Yeah.
But I just is there anybody that's like a big star that they've had? I mean, we're talking 20 years.
Oh no, they're still riding the Peyton Manning coattails.
Exactly. 20 years. I would argue maybe I'll be wrong about this, but Randall Cobb might be bigger than anybody that they've had, and might be my bias from living around here. But in your Packers,
grew up in the shadows.
I just wonder what the biggest butt slapper Tennessee fan would say. Like, oh, you're crazy. Alvin Kamara's much bigger than so and so.
Because Kamara was big in fantasy, so they would probably argue that. But he also almost transferred, or did it? Because he had split carries with Jalen Hurd.
I'll say this, too, and maybe Dalton Connect changes that a little bit. And this doesn't matter. We're just shooting the bowl on a hot summer day out here at Powder Keg Fireworks. But I don't think – whenever I think of a player in the NFL, none of them ever get associated back to Tennessee besides Peyton Manning. So when I think of some players, I think about their college days. There is really no – even with Alvin Kamara, I think back of him, I don't think about him dominating at Tennessee or his highlight tapes at Tennessee.
Boom.
And quite frankly, Eric Berry was the only one that I'd do that with because he did have a good professional career. And maybe if he didn't have all the medical stuff that he went through, maybe he wouldn't even be as newsworthy or noteworthy to me. But that dude was a baller, so I'll give him that. But I don't think of any NFL, NBA stars, and when you think back to them, oh, yeah, that was a Tennessee Vol.
It looks like Roush is looking it up here.
I'm pulling up a list of just their draft picks to try to get
But I agree. If you ask, if you go around and just poll college football fans, not random people.
Here's a good one for you, Gerard Mayo. But you'd think of him as Patriots Super Bowl linebacker.
Fair. That's fair.
And
you have to remember them wearing the orange, that burnt orange.
Such an ugly-ass orange, too.
I totally forgot that Cordero Patterson
by the way,
was a Vol. I would say that, and this goes to show you, their best pro since 2013 is a guard, Trey Smith, that plays for the Kansas City Chiefs. They don't have the –
because your stars really need to be quarterbacks.
And
that's who people are going to know. And they haven't had that, really. I mean, they had him, and he just left. He was going to be the guy.
But here's the thing.
I don't know if he was that good, but he was good. If they won anything, he would be the guy.
He was built up in their minds that he was that good.
Yeah.
But he wasn't. So it's maybe a blessing in disguise for him.
Yeah. For them.
It would have been real fun to see Nico fall flat this year.
But that's
volleyball player.
When they talk about, because this is their argument. Well, what's Kentucky basketball done? You guys are a basketball school. Kentucky's they're down. They've been down probably since 2015. That was the last Final Four. Since then, Kentucky has won 3 SEC tournament titles. They've won the SEC outright 3 times. They've been to 3 Elite Eights. That's what Kentucky's down years look like. Tennessee's down years look like from 2008 to 2020, they went 81 and 82. They have a losing record.
Sub 500?
That's not good.
But hang on. They won the Outback Bowl. They got a few Music City Bowl bids.
Bloomin' Onions.
I low-key wish UK would win an Outback Bowl.
I want an onion.
Well, we could have in 97, 98.
I was there. Old Joe Paterno.
But that's what Kentucky
I want to go to Busch Gardens.
Kentucky basketball's down years.
I want the ketchup fights.
Are SEC titles and Elite Eights. That's what Kentucky. That's what a 10 years of being down looks like for Kentucky. For them, it's losing records and Music City Bowl bids. Like, that's not an elite football program.
Do you remember when
So
they
there's-
lost to Purdue at the goal line at the very end? Oh, man, it warmed my heart.
Do you remember when the Tennessee drunk fan was trying to fight the Purdue band member?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
the Purdue band member was like, "What is your deal, man? You are a nut."
I will say
Oh,
that
I always like making fun of Tennessee Peake, and I love that you're so
Remember when
passionate
they
about it.
lost to their biggest rival for 11 years in a row?
And they will. I mean, if that Alabama game where they won in 22 that's like a national championship. That's
Yeah.
the closest that they've got to having that feeling.
And you know
again.
what? I'm glad they got to enjoy it because they ain't winning another national championship.
No. So how long then will they be okay with hype? Because Butch Jones, like he in his last year he was 0-8 in the SEC. So that's an obvious you probably got to go. But he got him up to like 9-4 a couple times, and people were saying this isn't good enough.
Yeah.
We're Tennessee. We're the Vol. I'm a Vol for life. And lower your expectations
So-
because you haven't been good my entire life.
I would consider it that it'll be like a Gus Malzahn situation because granted, Gus
Did
had
he not win one?
He did win one in his
Okay.
first year, and then he would be like 7-6, and then 10-2. Like he was very roller coastery. I'll give Heupel credit for being a good enough coach to really adapt last year. Like that showed me a lot to be able to not have to lean on Nico to win. Like they just ran the ball and played defense. So like I hate giving that guy any credit at all. I hate giving anybody credit over there at all. But like I don't think their lows will be as low, and he already
Right.
has a high to build up enough goodwill. But you are right. Like this is entering year 4, I believe, because the 21 game.
21, 22, 23, 24. Yeah.
So-
wait, year 5. This
So
is
this is year 5.
when does he have to do something before the
year
seat
eight?
gets hot?
Year 8, it will be like if it doesn't dip back up next year, if there's not some quarterback on the horizon that's going to take them, it's going to be the prince that Peyton promised. If they don't get that, I would say year 8 is when his goose might be cooked.
Folks,
So I got my
I
eyes
know
on
you
it.
all both dislike Tennessee, and you all have got a pulse on this more than I do, but they went to the frickin' college football playoff last year.
Yeah, that was
Yeah.
great. How'd
They're
they do?
not-
How'd they do?
They're not great, but who cares?
No,
They got their
they're-
ass
they're at
kicked.
the big.
It wasn't even close.
Who'd they lose to? What
How-
that team
yes,
end up doing?
Yes, but that just shows that's the difference. They're not that close.
I hear you. I
That's
hear
great.
all I'm
Kentucky
saying.
would've-
All I'm
may
saying
have
is
gone
they're-
to the
they're-
playoff a few
Josh
years ago.
Heupel, he should be there for at least another 5 years.
I
because
agree. No, I agree with
They
you.
went to the college football playoff.
I agree with you. I'm
That's
saying that
that's an
they
incredible
think
accomplishment.
they think that they're not just a playoff school. They in their heads, you're right. In their heads, they think we should be semifinals, finals.
I think we
Heupel
agree-
needs to get there. He's been there 5. This is his year 5. They thought by year 6, and you asked them in 2022, they would have said by year 6 they have won a national title.
I think we agree more than we disagree. We're just taking it from different angles. You're saying what Tennessee fans are going to view the situation.
Yes,
but
I
we're
think
talking
Heupel's
just
great.
From an
I think he's a
outside
great coach.
perspective.
I think they need to hang on to him as long as he wants to be there.
I also think he's a great coach. When
You know what? No, they need to run him out of town. Get him out of there.
Who
Do you
was-
think
who-
he'll
who
win
was-
one?
Who was your favorite Tennessee coach, basketball or football? Derek Dooley.
Derek Dooley for 13 guys on the field versus LSU.
I was a
UK
big
beat
I was a
Dooley?
big Donnie
Yes.
Tyndall
They
fan.
got the one.